Well, I think we're all awaiting the update on Violet now. Virginia Crosby.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I would like to start by congratulating 𝗕𝗏𝗂𝗃𝗧𝗃, my right honourable friend, for bringing this important bill forward. Now, one of the first things I did as the new MP in 2020 was to meet with local farmers. Local farmers like Brian Bown, Celfyn, Furlong and Peter Williams in the Tafarn Y Rhos in Rhostrehwfa. And they were concerned about livestock worrying. And to ensure my farmers' voices were heard in Westminster, I undertook a journey to take action on their behalf. I visited farmers like 𝗕cie𝘀𝘁 at his farm in Byddeden and Gareth Hughes at 𝗕cie𝘀𝘁𝘁 farm in Valley. Now, 𝗕cie𝘀𝘁𝘁 lost 7 pregnant ewes and 3 rams in an attack by an unknown dog or dogs, described by police as brutal and horrendous. I held meetings with Rob Taylor and Dave Allen from the North Wales Rural Crime Team, and the NFU County Advisor, Iestyn Pritchard, the National Trust and DEFRA officers, who I'd like to thank, to understand how the existing legislation is failing and what would be required to protect farmers and promote responsible dog ownership in future. For my honest small farmers, I'm delighted that my name is on this important bill and as co-sponsor of the bill. However, credit should go to them for raising this important issue. My farmers made it clear to me that the legislation currently covering livestock worrying, the Dogs Protection of Livestock Act 1953, is outdated and no longer fit for purpose. And this is hardly surprising, given that it's barely been touched for over 70 years. It's not kept pace with dog ownership, leisure trends, DNA technology, or indeed modern farming practice. Now, working together, we developed a 10-minute rule bill to amend the existing Dogs Protection of Livestock Act, which laid before Parliament in July 2021, to give the police powers to seize a dog or other items and to take DNA samples where they have reasonable grounds for suspicion that the dog has worried livestock, to provide a clearer and tighter definition of the phrase close control, making it a legal requirement that dogs must be on a lead when they are near livestock of any kind, and remove the maximum £1,000 fine so that irresponsible dog owners realise the full financial impact of their actions. The proposals in my bill were subsequently put forward for incorporation into the proposed Kept Animals Bill. However, in May 2023, the UK government announced to get important legislation through Parliament, the Kept Animals Bill would be taken forward instead as a series of single-issue bills. Like many, I was disappointed that the passage of the Kept Animals Bill was stopped. However, I'm reassured that the government has been true to its word and is putting its proposals through as individual pieces of legislation, as we can see in this very important debate. I'm delighted now that DEFRA is now prioritising livestock worrying and has asked the former Secretary of State to take the changes forward in a private member's bill, the Dogs Protection of Livestock Amendment Bill. Now, Mr. Deputy Speaker, agriculture has been the backbone of my constituency of Ynys Môn for centuries. At the beginning of the 13th century, the island was known as Môn Mam Cymru, the granary of Wales, and in the 17th century, livestock rearing and dairy farming began to replace arable land, and the systems of hedgerow enclosures still form our landscape today. Many of our farms are still small compared to other parts of Britain, most being between 5 and 100 acres. Subsequently, herds are relatively small, and livestock can feel like members of the family. That's why brutal dog attacks hit my Ynys Môn farmers particularly hard. I'd like to tell you a little bit more about farmer 𝗕cie𝘀𝘁𝘁 from Byddeden. 𝗕cie𝘀𝘁𝘁 went out one day to tend his sheep and found 7 pregnant ewes and 3 rams dead in his fields. They'd been killed by an unknown dog or dogs in what police described as a brutal and horrendous attack. And when I visited 𝗕cie𝘀𝘁𝘁's farm, he told me about the impact the attack had on his business and his well-being. His accounts of the event were harrowing. He shared the awful moment when he found his sheep brutally killed, coming across one dead carcass after another in the pouring rain. These were sheep that he had lovingly reared and cared for. They had clearly suffered horrendously. 𝗕cie𝘀𝘁 was visibly upset and shaken when he related the story to me. The dogs that carried out the attack have never been identified. Even if a dog was suspected, the law had no teeth to identify and seize it unless it was found unsupervised at the scene of the assault. For 𝗕cie𝘀𝘁, it's not just the financial loss that hit him, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Although that went into thousands of pounds, it was the emotional loss of these prized animals which he'd put his time and devotion into rearing. But 𝗕cie𝘀𝘁 is not alone. This is a huge issue for farmers across the UK. Livestock worrying takes place when dogs which are not being kept under proper control attack or chase livestock, in particular sheep. Whilst attacks are not officially recorded, and it's widely accepted that many incidents go unreported, it's estimated that around 15,000 sheep are killed by dogs each year. And over the pandemic, many of us were encouraged to get out into nature, and there was also an increase in dog ownership. This led to an increase in incidents of livestock worrying, which continues to be a problem today. And data from the National Farmers Union, the NFU, indicates that the average insurance claim for attacks is over £1,300, and some claims rise to tens of thousands of pounds. In 2020, the cost to the farming community of livestock worrying was estimated to be around £1.3 million. Now, the government's Animal Welfare Action Plan references the need to keep dangerous dogs legislation effective, and I'm very pleased that this bill picks up many of the changes that I proposed 3 years ago, including giving the police power to seize a dog or other items and to take samples, like dental impressions, where they have reasonable grounds for suspicion that the dog has worried livestock, and putting the financial responsibility on the dog owner rather than the farmer. When dog attacks can cost farmers tens of thousands of pounds, it's only right that the dog owner is made to pay for the damage caused. Now, surveys show that only 40% of dog owners accept that their dog could injure or kill a farm animal, and that 64% of dog owners allow their pets to roam free in the countryside, despite half of them admitting that their dog doesn't always come back when called. Experience shows us that the natural instincts of even the best behaved domestic dog can take over when other animals are in close proximity. Even without physical contact, sheep can die or miscarry as a result of the distress and exhaustion caused by a dog chase. By their very nature, pet owners and farmers almost universally care deeply about animals, and much of the solution to this problem is about raising awareness of the Countryside Code through legislation. It's vital that dog owners who live near or visit land on which livestock is being raised understand that. As a dog owner myself, my Cocker Spaniel Violet sends her regards to the Honourable Member for North East Bedfordshire. I hope that this legislation, alongside an effective communication plan, will serve to educate dog owners. I'd like to end by saying, Mr Deputy Speaker, on behalf of 𝗕cie𝘀𝘁𝗁 and all those farmers who've suffered financial and emotional loss through dog attacks, I support this excellent bill, and once again I'd like to congratulate my right honourable friend for bringing this important bill forward. Diolch yn fawr.